Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind podcast, built for real estate professionals that want to work less, earn more, and make an impact in their community. For information on how you can become part of the estate professionals community, visit probatemastery.com.
Hey guys. Well, I'm Bill Gross. I am your substitute for today. Hey, how you guys doing? So, thanks for letting me on. Excited, had been talking to Bruce about something else the other day, and he asked me if I could fill in. And I had done this call, many times for a couple of years. I filled in occasionally when the prior owner of the company was no longer available, and then kept running it for a while after Bruce took over, and I've been a frequent substitute. Just real quick, if you guys would, and I'm more participative because I'm a practitioner. I'm not selling you anything other than I'm next to you doing the same thing you want to achieve in building my business and be successful. I'm not selling coaching. I'm not going to sell the data. I don't work for Bruce, so I love Bruce, and I don't work for the company, though I love the company and what they do. But I want this to be a little more participative. So if you do me a favor, if you put in the chat box, first off, are you a real estate agent or salesperson, or are you a real estate investor or something else? Let me know who I'm talking to, if you'd be so kind. Make sure I have the right audience in place. Agent, investor, agent second. Good. I'm an agent first, investor second. I do invest in real estate. Investor, fine, great, both. Great. And then second, if I should ask both, what state are you in? Because it's going to be a little different, obviously, based on where we're at. Investor. So kind of mix. So I'll just share with you, I started on this program. I had been in real estate most of my career. I started in 1986 in the mortgage side of the business. And then after having like 19 business cards in 18 years without changing companies, 2008, I went full-time into real estate sales, figuring I could control that business better and control my own success. And mistakenly kind of got into management and coaching and recruiting. And though I did real well, I was at the top of my game. I was a top recruiter for Century 21 for those 5 years. It wasn't very fulfilling. I got in the business to own my own business. I found myself in management working for an owner that I didn't like. And at 6 years old, I quit. I gave him notice. I said, I'll work for you for a few months or a few days, but I'm not enjoying this anymore. It's not fun. And I'm 60 years old. I'm going to work another 5 years or so. And I want to make my time and my life count. And so I and I know real plan. I started back into sales. I actually tried a couple different things at the same time, and the real estate production took off because I had those skills and knew what to do. One of the reasons why is I researched the market before I relaunched my business and put a plan together. And one of the ways I did that, I knew probate was an area I wanted to investigate. As a coach, I had seen agents do well in it. I brought in speakers on the topic and wanted to find out more. Signed up for this program, Probate Mastery, in its par format. And it was in those days, it was 3 or 4 weekdays, like 2 or 3 hours. So I blocked out a whole week to take the class, take notes, really think about it. And the coach challenged us that time to go to court just to check it out once. And I live in LA. We have the largest probate court in America, but it's also only about a half-hour drive from my house. So I went, and I had been to court many times. My father had been an attorney. And when I was there, I discovered a couple things. One, not much competition. Two, a lot of interesting leads going on. And I went back the next day. I said, well, I'll go every day for a week. And then it was a month. And then I ended up building a lead generation program based on going to court every day. And I went from zero business when I started 6 years ago. I had no listings, no leads. I hadn't sold the house probably for 8 years prior to that. I'd been coaching and recruiting. And at the end of 30 days, launched a business that today yields me, I probably gross about $4,000 of revenue this year. I work about 35 hours a week, very structured schedule, a lot of time off. I'm off yesterday at 3 o'clock to play with my grandkids because that's important to me at this stage of my life. So I make good money, don't work too hard, feel real good, and I enjoy what I do. And so my challenge for all of you today is, I'm not a practitioner, but I'm going to challenge you and sell you on the American dream. If you work hard, have a plan, execute the plan, you can achieve great success financially in a business that's great. And probate can be one of the pieces of that link. And so I'd urge you, though, to think about 2 concepts as I describe, as we have our talk today. One is, it's a business, not a job. Because what's the difference? Well, a job is, you buy the data, you work the data, you get some deals, you buy the data, you work the data, you get some deals, you keep doing that. You can end up being like a hamster on a wheel. You want to think about, how do I build this as a business that grows over time? Either your pipeline grows, you delegate out to more people. I've built a downline. I'm with the XP Realty. I have a downline of people across the country, about 40 people, make some revenue off of that. I refer out business across the country to different agents, some of you on this call. So I get some referrals from around the country. I have some other things I've built in my business, as well as real estate investing. So I built a business while I do certain activities every day. I only do the activities now that I like because I built the privilege of making those choices, right? I started off doing what I had to do to be successful, and today I can do what I enjoy doing. And frankly, if it stops being fun, I'll just stop doing it. So number one challenge is it's a business. And that means number two, you have to always look for opportunities for leverage. One leverage is the consistency over time, things will grow. If your database grows over time, the mistake we make as originators or as builders of business is that we get leads and we get 2 or 3 hot ones, we throw the rest away. Versus letting them all grow like a farmer, they all grow in the field, and we should be continually adding to our field so it grows more and more. Interesting factoid, just while you guys are on the call, how long do you think the average is from when you talk to somebody as a brand new lead to the day you get paid? What do you think the average time is of your business? Put that in the chat box. What's the average time of when you talk to somebody and they say, I'm thinking of buying, I'm thinking I'm selling? What's the average time? 4 months, 1 year, 10 months, 2 years, 18 months, 2 to 4 months. So here's what I'm going to tell you guys statistically, scientifically. I've researched this data back when Boomtown was a software. With Zillow, I've looked at their science on the subject. I've looked at, what's it called now? It was KV Core, Bull Trail. I've looked at the science of this, and anybody who studied this, who brings in leads and then nurtures them until people put them in their database as closing, will tell you the average is over 2 years. Now, you might have answered 2 months or 5 months. All that means is your average is 5 months. But your system is then throwing away the leads that are maturing 10 months and more on average, right? And so for many of us, we're just throwing away the wrappers. We're not recycling the wrappers or planning the wrappers and becoming new business. And that's where a mistake is. And so as you design your business, you need to think about all the people who don't buy from you are either future leads or future referral sources for you, or future audience members of your social media. So Mike asked questions that probate leads or any other kind. Well, it's interesting you asked that question. The data that I'm familiar with is generically buyer leads and seller leads, both separately. But I was talking to just yesterday, I don't know how much of it I'm going to with Bruce, just yesterday about the business, and we're talking about some things that we're working on together. He said the exact same thing, that the average probate lead is over 2 years. And I can tell you it's true because I track, I'm in LA County, I track, we have a unique experience called court confirmation sales for about 10% of our sales. So every month in California, in LA County, there's about 35 properties that are sold and then confirmed for sale with a chance for an overbid in LA County Court. I track all of them. I've tracked them for 6 years. So the filing of the probate date, the filing of the petition date, and the sale date. The average of those properties is like 8 years. Now, that sounds like a lot because some are 16 years. That skews the average. The median is probably about 4 years, meaning the middle case. It's a lot longer than you think. And that's in California, my data. But I am telling you, if there's one thing I'm sure of is, even in your market, I don't care if you have the fastest, most lickety split probate court in America in your county, because people just don't move that fast. I'm telling you it's over 2 years. And if you track over time, you're going to find that. And that's why you should be never throwing away the leads. In fact, some of the lead service companies want you to buy every month more than you can handle. I say the opposite. Start with a small number, but realize you're going to be adding that number in every single month forever and nurturing them forever. And then you have the experience of people calling you back 7 years later. Who else besides me in real estate has had a customer call who you met 7 years ago? I forgot about them, but they're in my database. They get my emails. They watch my YouTube channel. And they call me and say, Bill, I've been following you all this time. I know we met 7 years ago, but I really appreciate what you do. Oh, by the way, I got this. And they just change the conversation to, I got this house I have to sell. If you don't track them and stay in touch with them over time, you don't get that business. So you have to think about what are you doing to nurture this business forever so that you maximize the value of your investment. And the last thing I want to say, there you go. Stacy says she listed land 15 years after she sold her home. Yeah. Most people can't find you 15 years later. I've kept every single email address I've ever had permission to email to. I email them all something at a minimum every week. Nowadays, I take that and embed a video of the same summarizing the email. It started very modestly, and that's on YouTube. Do people change emails? Yes. Do people unsubscribe? Yes. Do people not like it and unsubscribe? Yes. Do 20,000 people get my email every week? Yes. And do some of them sell houses with me? Yeah, that's why I'm in business. So my challenge to you is to look at this as a business and realize your job is to leverage your resources to get the best return on investment, whether it's time or money. The best return is not throwing stuff away needlessly. It's leveraging it over time. So, okay. I can talk I literally talk all day long every day. So you guys get me, let me go here. I'll get started. I want you to feel free to ask questions, raise your hand. If you want to mute yourself and just jump in, that's fine. Raise your hand or put the question in the chat box. I'll try to go along here. This is meant to be interactive. So I gave you a couple of my perspective, which is this is a business, not a job. And second, the whole goal is leverage. This is the whole goal. If you want, I can give you a little overview of my lead generation and what my business looks like today. If you're interested in those details, I could talk about that. I don't want it to be all about me. I want it to be about you to help you with your business. I will add that I have a podcast on probate called Probate Weekly. Go to probateweekly.com, sign up for it. I have a YouTube channel at Bill Gross Probate, where I have a number of podcasts. I have Probate Weekly. I do on reverse mortgages because so many of those lead to foreclosure and need probate to solve. Estate Planning Weekly, so I can get a good attorney on Probate Weekly and Estate Planning Weekly. So all that's content. I'll share with you guys. I started the YouTube channel 6 years ago. Today, I average over 95 hours a day of watch time, 7 days a week. It's remarkable. I don't understand it. I'm just me. Like I don't have. It's not like I'm not dancing around bikini. Yeah, I have a face for radio. I get it, but and I try to encourage everybody in this space. What a great opportunity you have to learn an area of expertise, and then share it with your database, share it with your clients. It's at Bill Gross Probate is my YouTube channel, at Bill Gross Probate. In fact, I will put a link to my channel in there. I'd love to have you guys participate there if you're interested. I'll give you another tip for those of you trying to build your YouTube channel. If you notice what I do here, I just put it in the box, youtube.com/at Bill Gross Probate. But you'll notice I have question mark, sub_confirmation equals 1. What that does is when people click on it who aren't subscribed, it'll ask them if they want to subscribe. So there's a free piece of advice on how to increase your subscriptions on YouTube, which aren't as important as they used to be. Used to be critical, but not as important now. Yeah, JT, me in a swimsuit. Not pretty, huh? Saul, I see your hand up. Let me get you unmuted. And how can we help you?
You talking about to me?
Yeah, there you go, Saul. Saul, what's up? I see your hand up. How can I help you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So
I had a different kind of question. I was
Okay.
just curious, how do you keep your teaching side of the probate from your helping side of the probate? How do you keep those separate, or do you not even try to keep them separate?
I think your question is, for example, might I have two YouTube channels, one for teaching and one for consumer facing? And the answer is I don't. Because look, I'm not in the YouTube business. I'm in the selling real estate houses business. I help, and my focus is referral sources. I help attorneys and fiduciaries help get their clients' real estate sold in probate and trust litigation cases. That's my focus. So you might say, well, I do have content, I believe, to consumers, right? How to file probate, how to find an attorney, what to expect in probate. But really, those people, when they see me interviewing attorneys, get I'm an expert in the business. And so I've not worried about them both being in the same channel. It hasn't caused me problems because my goal is to be a probate expert. My business, primarily, my model comes from the referral source, not the consumer. So what happens for me is I'll get an attorney referring me, and sometimes a seller will say to me, "Well, boy, you sound great. You know, we're interviewing for the realtors for the job. We'd love to have you over like Tuesday night or Wednesday night." And I'll say to them, "I really appreciate that, and I do. But be honest, I'm not that realtor. Like, if you think those four as good as me, you really don't know who I am. That's okay. You don't have to. But I'm available. If you have any questions, call me, and let me just send you a link to my YouTube channel. You might find it helpful." And I've had two call me back and say, "Oh, I saw your YouTube. I get you're an expert in this field. We'd like you to list the house. Will you do it?" I don't want to. If you don't want me to list your house, I don't want to list it. I just don't care because I put myself in a position, I believe, where I'm good enough to where if you don't get I'm good enough, then you're probably not a good client for me. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, and you're so good that you're teaching other people how to do that. So yeah, I get it.
Correct. Yeah, and frankly, will competitors in my marketplace learn what I do as well as I do? Good luck. I mean, if you're as good as me, I guess I'm in trouble, but I don't go to bed at night worrying about that. Just, I think the thing that I got great advice when I got married. Not that I follow it, but I got great advice. At my wedding ceremony, the rabbi said, I'll never forget this. It was beautiful. He said, the key to success in marriage, I think that's true about business as well, or anything in life. The key to success in, let's say, business is not finding the right partner, it's being the right partner. I think too many of us spend time marketing, looking for deals, and not enough time learning how to be so good that people want to do business with you. I put all my energy into being so good, not all, 90% of my energy into being so good, people want to work with me, so I don't have to really ask them to work with me. That's my focus. Too bad, says Eric. Okay.
Thank you.
There you go. That's a different insight. Mike, I think you're next. You got your hand up. How can I help you?
Yeah, I got a couple questions. And then this may be more for Bruce since he's from North Carolina also. But I've been through two probates, one with my mom and one with my uncle. Both of them had a will. And, I never had to go to court, see a judge or anything like that. I just had to get the letters of testamentary and just list some assets that weren't in the will. So, I mean, is that customary or why didn't I have to go to in front of a judge or a probate court or anything?
Specific North Carolina, that's a question for Bruce or an attorney in North Carolina. But I can say in California, you don't have to go to see the judge. I was going pre-COVID when you did have to go. And increasingly now in California and most states, what used to be appearance in person is now done in video. At the same time, also in California, if you fill your paperwork out right, they'll pre-approve your case. You don't need to go to court. It'll say on the case log, pre-approved, referred for approval. So you only go to court when there's a problem or a challenge. So what happens is in court, maybe you have your paperwork filled out, you send it to court, and the judge will say, well, this is pre-approved unless somebody objects. And then somebody goes, hey, I object. I'm the brother, I'm the sister, I'm the son. And so I would go to court and see those in person and learned a lot. Now today, I only go to court on my own listings, and then we only go to court when we're selling a property that needs a court confirmation. That's a small subset of the entire piece. But it's very specialized. As you can imagine, attorneys are concerned about getting top dollar in those cases and not getting it delayed. So that's where I specialize in my business. And so, Mike, I think in your case, I would say, I don't know that you need to go to court, but you certainly would want to know the procedures to avoid going to court if you don't have to. Or if you do have to go to court, you'd want to know when that is and be the expert on when that is and how that works.
Okay. And one more question. I just bought the course. I'm not completely even got through for the first time yet. But let's say you call somebody and on the first call, they said, Yeah, I need a window replaced. I need my yard mowed, and I need my gutters cleaned, and what have you. I mean, well, how do you get paid for doing that? I mean,
Yeah. So good question. So I think everybody has to ask the question, what do I do? What do I, refer out or oversee, and what do I not do? We all have different parameters based on our business. So personally, I would probably, offer and refer out, and I have almost anything. I mean, I'm not going to I'm going to clean the gutters of my own house. I'm not going to clean the gutters of somebody else's house, but I, will find a vendor to help them do that if that's what my customer requires.
so you just put those two together. You don't offer to be the middleman, so to speak.
The,
Go
the
over
way
there
I
and
look
look
at it
after the
is,
work getting done or something.
the way I look at it is, I tell, when I was first trained in real estate, I was trained by Mike Ferry, which was you're only going to meet people who are ready to list a house. And very transactional. And what I've learned is I get paid to solve people's problems. So today I would say to a customer, I'm here to help you with anything from your back fence to the front sidewalk and everything in between. Whether it's physical or legal or spiritual, I'm here to help. If you have a problem, call me and I'll either help you or I know a guy who will help you or a gal who will help you. And so, I tell a story. My first time when I took this class and started calling my past client database, which I recommend everybody to do. And I said, hey, Mike, this is Bill Gross. We've been talking a while. I just want you to know I put a lot of time into learning about probate, how to avoid probate. If you have any questions in the area, please give me a call. One of my clients was an attorney, not a probate attorney. He said, well, I have a client, it's not a probate, but she has a dispute with her neighbor on a lot line. And can you help her? And I said, now the old days I would have said no, because I don't do that. But these days I said, yeah, sure. I called her up. And she was a widow, been married 50 years. Her husband took care of everything before he passed. And they had a dispute with the fence on their lot line and who's to pay for it. And the city was citing it. And she's describing to me, she said, can you just come and look at it? And I said, sure. And I went and looked at the house. We walked the house for a half hour. Sweet old woman. And the end of about half hour, she just turned to me and said, can you just sell the property for me? It's a rental, it's 6 units. I really don't want it. My listing presentation was, yeah, sure. Why not? So we listed the property, I sold it, and I delivered to her the proceeds check. In those days, I didn't do that all the time, but I started doing that. Got the check, drove to her house for about $500,000, and she started crying and said, I've always wanted to live with my sister in Arizona. Can you help me sell this house? And I said, sure. And we sold it. And so the moral of the story for me was that if you're so instrumental that people look at you as a solution to their problems in real estate, you don't have to spend a lot of time chasing the business. If that makes sense. Okay. Real funny here. Jade, just FYI on the chat box, there was a comment, thanks for giving us a visual of me in a swimsuit. And then right below that, JT says they go hand in hand. I don't know what goes hand in hand with me in a swimsuit, JT, but I'm going to just ignore that comment. And then I got another question. Do I forward attorneys to my YouTube channel as well as build relationships, or how do you utilize your YouTube channel with attorneys? Yeah. So I look at YouTube as the nurture part of the relationship. I think social media is the way we nurture, stay in touch with people. And frankly, I call any attorney I want to do business with. Now, they don't all give me business. That's another misnomer. Just because they're on my channel and we have a good relationship, 90% of the business comes from other realtors. So I'm not going to get that business. But certainly, it opens doors to have people on my channel. But that was true when I had no views, because they don't know the difference, and B, they appreciate that you're calling them anyhow and attempting to market them. And so, but yeah, I definitely forward attorneys to my YouTube channel. I email out episodes to everybody who subscribes, and that's part of the nurturing process for sure. Anne said she could not unmute. I think I muted you. Lou's on the call. Thank you, Lou. Can't be unmuted. I think we solved that. How do you begin to work with one or more attorneys? So, Anne, I think I need you to come on to ask that question in more detail. I see James's hand is up. Let's get James in. And if you're there, why don't you come in as well afterwards, and we'll talk about attorneys. James, how can I help you?
Hi, Bill. It's such a pleasure. I'm also here in LA. I'm very new. And so I was really happy to see you because I've been meaning to reach out And so now here we are serendipitously. So again, I'm new, and I'm pretty sure that I've already lost out on business because I'm not a licensed agent. Sometimes clients just want one thing. And even if I say like, oh, the best people I know when, we're partners and everything, it's just that something about the rapport gets shaken up and they just kind of go their own way. What's the best way to ask you about your EXP, I guess, is you got your sign in the back. I just kind of want to know, and this is kind of leads, maybe this could be more of a general question, but along the same lines, I'm not interested in, yeah, exactly right. I'm not interested in showing, first-time home buyers homes on the weekends. I want to work our niche of the business. And so I'm just wondering, do you have any advice on how you would train someone who's brand new, who isn't looking for all the millions of different niches within real estate, but just really wants to focus on selling and helping, probate folks sell their homes? So that's kind of two parts. I'd like to know more info about obviously you're the guy, right? And it'd be great to kind of just, get some advice, and you're the guy in LA here. And then also if you have any like quick advice on, the newbie and how to kind of, be in the real estate space as opposed to the investor space.
So I think I heard 3 questions about EXP. We can talk about that offline. I'm glad to talk about that. Okay. I am with them. I have a downline and looking to build a national network. I think a second question was how I focus on real estate in a way that I don't have to show houses on the weekend. And I'll just share with you, I don't even really work with buyers. If you're an investor and you've already seen the property, or I can send you out with somebody else, I'll write up the offer, but I don't show I haven't shown a buyer a property. I probably met investors at a house. I wanted to meet them. The house was more an excuse to meet them than anything else, but I've not shown a house to a buyer. And I wouldn't. I didn't go to the house until I had a listing agreement. I'll tell people that, if you want me to come, I'd be glad to, once I have a listing agreement, because I have to do an inspection. But frankly, there's no reason for me to go. I'll send an assistant, take pictures, see the condition. But my job is not to put cookies in the oven and hold open houses. My job is to help you navigate the probate process and legal process and negotiate and get you the best price. So I think it all gets down to, how you position yourself and who you're targeting for your business. And I'm a listing agent. I'm not a buyer's agent. So I think that, and you can choose either way. I think that the mistake of our industry is we're perceived as working with buyers. I think when most people think of, I'm a real estate agent, they assume that means that you put people in your car and you drive them around all day long. That's not. The license, we have multiple activities, right? We do leasing, we do sales, we do different types of properties. But the niche I'm in is listing, probate, and related real estate. And so I think that gets down to having the right marketing in place and the right systems in place. I can go on for an hour about that. I don't know if you have more questions in that genre. And you asked about investor versus realtor. And I would say that realtors being a real estate agent gives you extra authority and powers. More authority and power is an opportunity, a tool to make more money. It also gives you more education. In California, we have 2 levels. We have a salesperson, then we have a broker. I'm actually a broker, even though I don't act as a broker, meaning I affiliate with eXp Realty and they have brokers of record. My broker's license means 2 things. One, I could be a broker independent. I can also do other things besides working with eXp, but also means I have more education as a result. And that's important to me, that I know more, and also holds me to a higher standard. So hope that helps explain, James. And if not, if you want to reach out individually, I'll put in the chat box my a code that my calendar link. If anybody wants to meet with me, feel free just to fill in a time and we can chat a little bit as well.
That would be great. Thank you.
Let me see. Let me just real quick find that and put that in the Google Meet call. Copy link. Go back to Zoom. And there's my meeting. For anybody there who wants to meet for 15 minutes for free, I offer people free coaching. If I can help, I'm not selling coaching, so if I can help anyway answer questions, feel free to hit the link and book a time. Saul, I see your hands up again. I think what happened was there's another Saul who asked a question when I called on you. But anyhow, I see you're back in there. How can I help you?
Yes. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So, excuse me. I'm also pretty new at this. I finished the course and just kind of starting with my lead sheet, and I'm a little mixed up because I'm struggling with the fact of, more is less, like when you write them a letter or a card. But then on the other hand, if I write too little, am I not telling them what I can do for them? So for instance, I was told, the last thing that I was told to do is to say that I'm interested in your property at so-and-so place. If you're interested in selling, please give me a call. But I haven't touched on anything like that I could give you, probate, advice on how to take care of your house and so forth. But then if I put too much, then that's too much as well. So what's the kind of the balance that I could put over there,
So, okay, I'm doing this for free. I'm doing this as a colleague who wants to help you. Okay, I'm going to give you kind of not the answer you want to hear, but I believe the one you need to hear. And for
Okay.
those of you who didn't ask the question, kudos to Saul to have the courage to ask the question. So I don't mean to come down on you at all. And I know it's a little different than what Bruce says, but we're different. I think that when I listen to this call, there's way too much time spent on how do I write this? How do I say this? How do I text this? And not enough calling whatever, say whatever comes to your mind and texting or getting something out. I think that if you talk to 10 times more people in the same time that you spend designing the right script and practice, if you just talk to 10 times more people, you'll figure it out faster. And I think the most important thing is whatever activity you do to evaluate it, learn from it, improve next time. So for example, if you're calling people and you have a dialer system, even a single dialer, you can record your phone calls. The number one advice I can give people for coaching is record your call and then listen to them. Brutal. Nothing hurts more than me watching me speak. It's brutal. I do podcasts. I hate watching my own podcast. And people will say, Bill, you're so good. But you notice every mistake. But by noticing mistakes, you can improve. If you follow NFL football, for example, I know Dave Pennell's on from the world champion Dallas Cowboys. Oh, I'm sorry, they're not the world champions. They're Dallas Cowboys. One thing you'll hear about football players when they talk about their game all the time is watching the tape. Like after the game, they'll ask the coach a question. I don't know, wait to see the tape. Why? Because the tape doesn't lie. And you have to go back to what you do and learn from it. And so I know it's not what you want to hear. I know you really want to figure it all out to make the one right text or the one right phone call. But the truth is, in my experience, it's just my opinion. You're not paying for it, so take it or leave it. I'm fine either way. I would rather you spend more energy talking to a lot more people and less time worrying about the specifics, and you'll figure it out over time. As you talk to people, your market's different, your style is different, your tone is different. Everybody is different than me. Therefore, I can't give you the right answer other than whatever you're doing, just do 10 times more. It will solve all those problems.
I get that. I get that. But I get that like when I get the person on the phone. But then when I don't get them on the phone, maybe you could get 20% of the people on the phone, and then I could, maneuver my way through. But
Right.
when I don't, and when I send them a card and so forth, or when I leave them a message, I felt myself leaving like, overdoing it, So, is there like a balance or, even when I write them a card, what do I write there?
Just move so quickly that you don't have time to think about it. That's my best advice. Yeah, I'll give you an interesting story. As I've built my YouTube channel, now I will just say, as I sit here today, not to brag, but let me just give you some raw statistics, okay? Today, I have 7,075 subscribers. I have over 3,500 hours of watch time in the last 28 days. So that means that on average, over 100 hours of watch time per day of my YouTube channel, of me. I'm not dancing in a bikini like some pretty girl. I'm me, right? And so how have I done that? So I watched a lot of YouTube channels on how to build a channel, and most advice is wrong. They want you to spend all day long on the thumbnail and description and this and that, versus if what you're saying is interesting, people watch it. If what you're saying is not interesting, people won't watch it. End of story. And so I think that we spend so much time thinking about how to do it. I'll give you another example. I used to email out to my COI database. I defined that as people I knew, like, and trusted. And over time, I built a database. At that time, I think it was about 4,000 people. And one day I noticed I had 4,000 people who I wasn't emailing to. And I said, I wonder who they are. So I did an A/B test. I sent the exact same email to group A, my COI, and group B, the non-COI. I've always had a really good open ratio of over 30%, which is great by email standards for real estate agents. And the B list, which was the non-COI, had the same open rate as the A list. For all the things you worry about, it's just all in our head. It's all just holding us back from doing our job. So again, and I know, so it's not what you want to hear, and I sympathize with you. And I'm just trying to encourage you. Take that energy and put it into making more phone calls, talking to more people. It will solve your problems. I promise you. The difference between text A, B, or C, you can do A/B tests. You can spend hours defining the right text. I just don't think it's going to make a difference in your business. I would rather spend the same energy and talk to more people.
Do you send letters out? I mean,
No, I don't send any letters out. I do send postcards quarterly to those attorneys that I call my core attorneys, about 100 attorneys.
Okay.
But no, I don't. People I've met recently, seen, run a case, got a referral from, about 100 I have in a database. And maybe I've sent holiday stuff once in a while, every couple of years. But no, I don't send postcards out to anybody. But again, I'm working on referrals, not working with consumers directly.
Right.
Okay?
Got it.
Hey guys, I'm butting in here with a quick ask. If you're getting value out of this coaching today, I want to invite you to check out my Probate Mastery trainings over at www.probatemastery.com. Probate Mastery is for you if you're an agent or an investor that wants to work with motivated sellers that have inherited real estate that they don't need and in many cases can't afford. These sellers are more appreciative, willing to trust your expertise, and less likely to nickel and dime you over commission or price. Why is that? They're often in the middle of a complex probate or an estate administration process, and this means that real estate is very often a burden on them, and they simply need the help. Inside of Probate Mastery, I teach you exactly where to source your leads, how to establish value, and offer your service in a way that quickly makes you, as the professional, your market's expert in the probate space. If you want to know a little bit more, go over to www.probatemastery.com. Hope to see you guys inside of the community. Thanks.
Diamond Dave Pinnell, Cowboys fan. What's up, man?
Hey, man. What's going on?
Talking to you.
You answered my question. I had a light bulb moment back in May when that guy from Michigan was on and talked about the podcast. Forever, I've had a YouTube channel and I've posted my client testimonials, but I've actually done 5 attorney interviews, and it's great because they do want to talk a lot. You just got to get them scheduled. So putting all the little pieces together over the last 90 days, now we're off to the running. I've got 8 more scheduled. So it's really neat, the process of getting people on a podcast. And to answer that one guy's question, you did pretty good, Bill, but I've sent out so many different letters, and the ones that just tell them to go find me somewhere else are the ones typically that call me. Yeah, some people are going to call you because you want to make a cash offer on the house. Some people are going to call you because you want to list a property. A lady just called me this morning because she said she only was going to work with the ones that she could find online with some kind of review or what do you call it? The BB report or something, Better Business Bureau report, things like that. So it's a hit and miss on that.
The only problem I have with people like that, thanks, David, as always, but the challenge I have with that is that they start telling you how they're going to do business. And I just feel like that seller is just a nightmare to work with. They want to overprice the house. They don't want to pay the buyer's agent commission. They don't want to choose your escrow. It's like, and at some point, I feel like there's one quarterback on the team. Unless you're the Cowboys, you might consider changing for another quarterback. But anyhow, I digress. There's one quarterback.
I don't really have a team right now, Bill. I appreciate it. It's too pricey.
But what I would say is that, if they start pushing back, I mind a little bit, but at some point, I'm just saying for all of us, have your spice sense up. Once it becomes too much, they're looking for somebody else. They want to sell the house themselves, and they want you to be their employee. And if you're okay with that, But I would say it just doesn't work in the long run. You're going to end up being an employee. So,
It's true.
okay. And Mike, thanks. We've got to run. Great. And Bill or David, do you have a standard postcard you send to lawyers? Joe Mullane, I would say the answer is yes. It's just very simple. I mean, I use a service called thanks.io, and you upload the database in CSV format. You can design a picture. I spend like a minute thinking about it. I write something out. I don't put that kind of thought into it. It's just my picture, and they get it. And some do and some don't. I like postcards because they don't have to open it, but I'm not putting a lot into stock. I'm not sending out cold to anybody. It's all people that I know already. Can Mojo record calls? I believe so. Yeah, I used Mojo years ago. It did then. Stacy Matsuda, I see that your hand is up. Can we get you to unmute?
Hey guys.
Hey.
So I've been in real estate for 23 years, and I just started the investing business. We've had some long-term rentals and also some flips, but when I'm having a hard time kind of differentiating myself when I'm going on that listing appointment between offering the services of the buyout versus offering the services of the realtor because of the huge price differential. And I just didn't know if, I mean, should I not go on appointments that people are interested in both things, or not bring it up at the appointments, or some way to handle that?
So I have a challenge. It depends on, Stacey, where do you do business?
Greenville, South Carolina.
So I'm in California. We're very highly regulated. And so I really can't cross the line of doing both. I can do one or the other on a transaction. So I market them as an agent, then I have to follow through as an agent and be a fiduciary.
Okay.
And I can offer cash deals through investors, not personally. So the only deals that I offer cash on is where really a real estate agent. I had one where an agent I know was calling me on the phone crying as his deal fell out of escrow. And he goes, "It was such a good deal." And it was like amazing. I said, "I'm in." I wrote a check. I would have written it that day. It took about 5 days to get the paper put together, and I made a profit of $172,000 on it. So I'm glad to do deals when I can, but I
Right.
can't market as an agent and come back in as an investor. Maybe you can, or maybe your husband owns a business or a friend or something, but I can't do that. So I can't really answer your question because I'm not in a position to offer both like that.
Yeah, it's an ethical dilemma for sure. And I
I,
just don't know how to do the separate marketing, I guess, because I'm experienced in marketing my team, but not my development company, which would do the cash offer.
I think also you have to decide which one's more important to you and focus with that one and use the other one as a backup. And so for me, I really don't want to invest in real estate in California. I invest out of state as a limited partner, but I'll do flips. I'll do wholesale
Yes.
deals, right?
Yeah.
If I can tie the deal up. So really that can't be me as an agent unless the customer is just completely willing and I'm the principal. And so I've had cases where I sat down with them and said, "Look, if you just want to sell it for that, I'll write you a check for that, and we'll be in contract and close in 5 or 10 days." But I don't really lead with that because that's not where I want to build my business. In my case, in Los Angeles, I think in your case, I would just decide which one's more important to you, and then use the other one as a additional source of revenue, not as an alternative.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. See, Mark Buckingham, I see that you're next up. I think. Where are you? We lost you. I guess not. SJC, you're next up. Let's bring you in. Add to, oh, your video's off. Okay, well, how can we help you, SJC? Okay, I guess not. See, next up, I see Ann Shank. Let's get your in and add you to the spotlight. There you go,
I
Ann.
was unable to mute. Can you hear me now?
Is that SJC?
Yes, that's me.
Yes. Okay, let's go to you, and then Ann, I'll come back to you next. How can I help you?
So this is kind of a loaded question because I was getting my questions prepared. So kind of to piggyback off the first question I think he asked, well, I'm not a realtor either. I'm an investor. To be more specific, a wholesaler at best. I do own as well, but right now I'm wholesaling and I'm trying to understand the probate process as I've been running into the more commonly with a lot of the niche lists that I go after, like tax liens and pre-foreclosures. And so I kind of wanted to get some feedback from you to piggyback off of maybe what he said to an extent of kind of what would you suggest or how would you suggest one kind of or build that rapport as far as like reaching out to homeowners in the probate or not yet in the probate process or maybe heading to it from an investor standpoint with not much credibility, seeing as you're not a broker or an agent or anything like that? How could you do that? Like how would you how could one try to pivot through that conversation?
I again, this is not the answer you really want to hear, but I'm going to tell you the truth because I don't have every other reason to be here other than to try to help you, which is I think the mistake we make is we think there's a magic script or a magic website or a magic certification. And I think the answer really is if you know more, it comes across. There's a saying, who you are speaks so loudly, I can hardly hear what you're saying. And I think if your question is, how do I convey my opportunity of wholesaling to people who are in the probate space more effectively, I'd say make sure you learn more about the probate space so you can be more effective in helping them, and it will come across. And those opportunities will present themselves. So SJC, where do you do your wholesaling? Where do you do business?
Indianapolis.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Indiana probate. I would love to learn about it. I would learn Indiana probate rules. I go online, see what's available. I would find local realtor who specialize. Maybe there's somebody on this call to buy coffee with or sit down and just learn about what they do as an agent. I would try to meet an attorney. Your picture's really pretty. I think almost anybody's gonna say yes if you offer to come by and have a cup of coffee with them, or go to court. I would go online, look at the court in your county. But I think the key is spend more time on being more valuable to your prospective customer. And then I think what to say will come more natural to you, as well as what you say will come across the customer more effectively.
Got it. Okay. That's great. Thank you so much. There's actually, I didn't think about it in that fashion, but I do know people in the space and I definitely can reach out to them. Now, my next question to you is, in your state, have you dealt with any curative title situations? Or are you familiar with the curative title space?
Your connection's not so good. The what title space?
The curative title space. CURATIVE, curative title.
I've never heard that phrase before.
Gotcha. Well, basically, it's like going after those troubled titles where they have pairs that are maybe at odds with each other, and kind of buying ownership from pairs, like buying a certain amount from them to kind of force the sale or be able to force the sale. That's why I wanted to know, were you familiar with that?
Oh, I would call them fractional interests or partition action cases. Definitely right up my alley. I deal with those all the time in probate.
Gotcha. Okay, so you do see that.
I'm launching a new podcast called Fractional Interest, by the way, just to promote, to talk about that. I want to interview more attorneys in that space. I think that space is wide open and another area that I want to specialize in. So yeah, I know quite a bit about it.
Okay. I'll stay tuned for the podcast. Thank you.
I'm sorry?
I said I'll stay tuned for the podcast when you post the podcast. Looking out for it.
Or hit that calendar link and let's get together and exchange info and stay in touch, because I think it sounds like the area we might work on together. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Matthew, you're next up. If we can get you unmuted and bring you in the spotlight.
Yeah, hey, Bill, good afternoon. I wanted to go back to the person who was asking about, how do I address this, and how do I address being a realtor, and how do I address being an investor? I've been a realtor for 35 years. I've been an investor for 10. And I've just always found that I go in, and the more tools I have in my tool belt, whether it be being a realtor, having a stable of investors, being willing to buy myself, or having access to wholesalers, just makes me that much more valuable to the client or the PR. If I go in and I'm talking to a PR and they just want to be done with it, I say to them, look, I can act as the buyer or I can act as the realtor. The only thing I have to do is treat everyone fairly and do full disclosure. Okay. And I just recently had a situation like that where I met with a PR. She's like, I just want to be done with it. I said, okay. So if you put it on the market, it'll take this long. If I market it out to investors, it'll take this long. If I write you a check, you'll be in and out in 5 weeks. I said, but honestly, you'll make a little bit more money with one of these other two options. What are you most comfortable with? And I've always found that as long as I have a frank, honest conversation, the customer will figure out what direction they want to go.
I agree. Yeah, I agree 100%. Give people, treat them like adults, give them the information, make an informed decision. I think they'll make the best decision for themselves. I always feel that way that I do a lot of heirs advances, inheritance advances, where attorneys will say, wow, that's really expensive. And I'll say to them, yeah, it's not my life though. You know, I've had customers who got an advance because they wanted $20,000 to do a funeral for their aunt who's really like their grandmother, and they felt like their life had been complete because they were able to honor their auntie. And it's not for me to do that, but she called me on the phone thanking me for arranging the advance. It made her whole life. So who am I to tell them? They're an adult, they pay taxes, they're not in jail, they're going to make an informed decision as long as we give them the good information. I agree with you 100%, Matthew. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, at long last, after all the technology worked itself out, those who've been waiting impatiently here, though we have to get her unmuted. And check what is up.
Oh, I lost your picture. Here I am. Okay, hi. Well, you suggested we talk in person. I've done a few probate, and I've done a lot of the short sale stuff. So I'm used to dealing with people and coming in from a perspective of giving them an opportunity to tell me how they got where they are and what they really want to do, and giving them options. But what I'd like to know is what is the best way to at least begin to introduce myself to some attorneys? Because if I am telling people who decide they want to look at probate options or they need the expertise in the process, I need to know and a couple of attorneys that I can talk to at least pass the information on and give them the lead, or to get the information and continue being the go-between.
Yeah.
So
I
need
okay. And then what area do you sell real estate in?
Northern Virginia.
Okay, NVA. So a couple things I would say. First off, how many probates have you closed already?
Maybe 3.
How many of those had attorneys?
Well, they all did, but none of them were local. Did one a 4-hour drive away in Farmville. That's not going to help me. I did one where it was.
Well, that's interesting. That's an interesting conclusion you made. So the person whose house you sold used an attorney that was 4 hours away. That won't help you, because why? No other seller in your area is ever going to do that again.
Well,
I refer attorneys who are in other states, services in other states. I think you're using a 1980s mindset there on that.
No, I'm thinking in terms of geographically, whether or not they would travel if there was an issue that had to go to the court.
Do they need to? These days, so much is done on video.
We did because the girlfriend had torn up the will, so we had to get the copy approved by the court, and we needed an attorney down there to present it to the judge, which she did, and we got the case adjudicated. But I'm in Northern Virginia. I had called a couple of attorneys a while ago, told them I was focusing on probate, and I asked if they had any interest in working with me, maybe sitting down for a few minutes, giving me the highlights of what's most important for them to know if I were to bring them a lead. And 2 people said yes, and 1 person never got back to me. So I thought we had a better idea.
Well, if 2 people said yes and 1 said no, I'd say, well, call 100. Then you'll have 66.
Okay, I could do that.
That's my best advice. I mean, that's all I did. My proposition was I would like to interview for my podcast, and I end up with 66 episodes of attorneys, and some give me business and some don't. So that's kind of how that works out.
Yeah, I think that
it's a numbers game. I mean, I know we try to find the right. Again, this is the same as what's the right text, what's the right scripting, what's the right. And the answer is there probably isn't a right one. It's you. And here's the other thing I'll say. You talked to 3, 2 said yes. My guess is if you did 10 more, you'd be better on the next 10. If you did 20 more, you'll be better on the last 10. If you do 50 more, you'll be better on the last 30. Like the more we do things, the better we get at it, the more you learn to have the conversation. So I would just say block out, like I do, 3 or 4 hours a day for business development and spend your time calling attorneys and talking to them and learning about their business and how you can help them.
Okay, so I don't need to qualify their expertise then in advance of offering them to somebody else?
I think it's really hard to do. I think it's really hard to tell. And frankly, I've had attorneys who I know are great who just give bad service to the customer. Shocking. So I think we overvalue the reality of that. And it's more about a relationship and communication, wanting to work together. And then you have to bring value to them. I do bring attorneys value by interviewing them and promoting their business, and some get cases as a result, and then they owe me. And so I think you have to think about it. We all like to call and say, well, I'd like to refer you business and hope that generates referrals to us. That's not enough. You have to actually do something of value to them. So like I offered free public record information. I'll drive the property, give you value before you take the case so that you know what the property is worth. I'll give you a summary of the AVMs as well as my sense of the property, or a full CMA if you want to price it when you file the probate. They need to put a number in. I'll do a public record search on that person for any other property they might own in California. So those are different things you can offer an attorney as a service, or their paralegal as a service, to get in with them as relationships. But we have to make sure we're giving them value so they'll want to work with us.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. I did that for an attorney, and not related to probate ago, and she loved it. So I think I'll try that approach.
Fantastic. Let me get this last call here because we're kind of over time. And thank you so much. Glad we got you in finally. Patrick, I see you are our last hand up. How can I help you?
Well, I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I keep hearing over and over again, if you want to work with attorneys. And I can say that there's pros and cons to that, but it's always a good enterprise to approach. But the concern usually is that sometimes there's untoward actions that come out of those, where somebody wants to do a split with you or this or that. And I want to say that there's safer alternatives. You have to work with them the right way, and that you can't do anything like pay an attorney. And they know that, and if you don't know that, you're in trouble.
I know you're right, and I agree with you. I would say personally that it's going to sound arrogant when I say this. I work hard every day to be so good that if you're picking a realtor based on who's giving you a referral, you're picking the wrong realtor, because I'm not going to give you a penny. You're going to want me to have your cases because I'm going to help you get your probates closed faster, more efficiently, with higher levels of customer satisfaction. I'm going to help you market your business to get more business. And if that's not worth it to you, and you need to get a referral fee, there's only another 100,000 realtors in LA. Pick one. Good luck.
And that's one perspective, and I kind of adopted more of a professional, non-monetary collaboration, which would be the trusted real estate solution, or co-sponsoring seminars and asking them if they would like to do something, and I can provide the guides and the checklist and the probate timelines and all the other stuff.
Fantastic.
Give them some feedback.
Patrick, thank you so much. I'm going to squeeze in here, Ron. We're kind of running a little late, but we're going to squeeze you in. Ron, what's going on?
Hi, Bill. How you doing?
Great.
Thank you for your time.
Sure.
Do you ever supply, or that's probably the wrong word, but the interview questions that you go through, I'm sure, are very much the same with most interviews. Do you ever share that so we could use it as an outline to do our own interviews?
Yeah, email me. I'll send it back to you. I mean, I have a document I pull up. It'll come a generic. Yeah, I'll tell you the truth. So when you call people, interview them, ask them to join your podcast. So I try to do it all via email because it's more efficient for me. But occasionally, there's a attorney that I really want to meet, and so I'll call them on the phone, or their assistant will call me, or I'll call them back, and they'll say, "Can I have a list of questions of what you're going to ask?" And I actually created a list. I took all my interviews to date, put them in ChatGPT, made a list of the most common questions, and I put it in a document, share with them. I don't ever look at it other than to send it to people who ask for a list of questions. So I'm glad to share it with you. I will share with you an amazing tool that I use called NoteGPT. I think it's AI. NoteGPT.io. Note, N-O-T-E, GPT.io. And what I do there is when I have somebody who I've had on before, I'll load up that episode, summarize the episode, and then I have a prompt that says, what questions would I ask that person to get the highlights and action items you listed in the summary? And that'll give me a list of questions to ask that I use for people who repeat on my show. But I do think that tool would work great for you to ask that question to. I would say find an interview of what you want and then create your own. And then the other thing about all these, AIs is it tailors it towards you and your personality and your style and your program, not me and mine. And so I can give you my list. I'm glad to share it with you. If you think it's interesting, send me an email and just put in the header attorney interview questions. I'll be glad to send it back to you. But just know I don't really use it as much as I have it available, so I'm stuck for a question. Sometimes I have 3 screens. I have one here I'm looking at, and I have one on the left. And the right are the things I'm going to show customers or show on the video, and the left I'll have like questions in case of a backup. So I don't really go by it, but I'm glad to share it with you. Okay, Ron, thanks so much. Okay, a couple last questions I see here. I'm going to fill from the chat box. What site gives the most timely probate personal rep filing? So there you're asking about buying data. And I will say that when you say the best, I can tell you that it varies based on what county you're in, state you're in, how you use data. I'll put in the chat box a link to my webpage where I have a list of all the sources that I know of and how to access them and kind of my comments, in some cases, my review of them. If you have information on any of them, want to share that with me, feel free to pass that back, or if any sources I'm missing, but I just put that link in the chat box. Indiana Wholesale Flip, SUC, God, that was Lou. Discovery. Oh, and then Lou has a discovery call if you want to get together with him. I thought I saw one more question in the chat box. Did I miss it? Ethical dilemma. Okay. Yeah, no, I think I answered all the questions. Okay, well, look, I hope I did. If not, I put in the chat box a link. Feel free to set a 15-minute appointment with me for a video call. We can meet and talk about your business and see if there's ways we can work together. Great. If I can help you with your business, glad to do it. I'm at Bill Gross Probate on social media. My YouTube channel is at Bill Gross Probate as well. Thank you so much for those who participated and being on the call today. And have a great day, guys. Thanks so much.